All right. Well, I guess we'll go somewhere and have cake later on today. But happy birthday to Mr. Olatide and graciously sharing his day with us on the program. We're still talking about the prices and commodities. We're expecting inflation for the month of June, and FDC expects a slight increase or slight decrease for the month of June. We're going to have the Assistant Vice President of Financial Derivatives Company joining us to tell us why they expect it and what could drive this slight decline that they're expecting for the month of June, because we do know that most of the month of June we had high prices of global oil, and that of course trickles down. We just talked about Dangote now, what's happening to prices at the pump for diesel, for petrol, and of course that is what feeds into inflation, energy costs, and then it goes down to transportation and all of that. So we're going to have Dr. Ifeoma Nwokolo, Assistant Vice President, Financial Derivatives Company, to share with us the expectation for inflation for the month of June. Dr. Nwokolo, good morning. Welcome to the program.
Good morning, Amy.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me.
Good to have you. So FDC expects a slight decline in inflation that we're expecting in a couple of days. Why is that?
Yeah, that's our expectation, and I don't think if that comes out true, Nigeria will not be an outlier. If you look at in the month of June, we saw a significant drop in the price of Brent. We had as high as $126, and in the month of June, that was when we had an interim ceasefire between Iran and US, and we saw that the price of Brent dropped massively. There was a sharp decline to about $70 per barrel. That was in the month of June. We saw prices hovering between $70 per barrel and $75 per barrel in the month of June. So we saw that this has trickled down in the prices of commodities, coupled with the fact that we have a weaker consumer demand, and also smuggles of commodity from all neighboring countries to Nigeria brought prices down in the month of June. But basically, what we saw was that the price of Brent came down, which also had like a spillover effect on the price of PMS in the month of June. We saw prices decline by Dangote brought down prices by over 200 naira in the month of June. So that is why we are seeing, and I've taken my time to look at June inflation for several countries, and you see that countries that have published their June inflation, very very few number of them has a marginal increase, but a whole lot of them has a decline in inflation rate. If you look at the Euro area, it declined from 3.2% to 2.8%. So we're talking about Germany, Italy, France, they all recorded decline. Kenya too has released their June inflation, and we have a decline from 6.7% to 6.4%. So we are also expecting a marginal decline in inflation from 15.93 to 15.88 based on these assumptions and what we saw in the markets.
And how do we see this reflecting in the price of commodities?
In the month of June, we saw prices of commodity, some remained relatively flat, and then some declined. And some commodities declined. If you look at the commodity slide, if you look at the month of June, so what we are displaying here is commodities for the month of July. But commodities for the month of June, we saw prices taper. And we also saw that logistic costs also taper, because the price of PMS dropped from about 1,300 and something that it was to about 1,100 and something, if I'm not mistaken. So that sharp decline in the price of PMS filtered into the price of commodity in the month of June. So what we are displaying now are commodity prices for the month of July. So that is why we are projecting that we are going to see a marginal decline in the price of in inflation rates in the month of June.
Yeah, so talking about presently, what's driving the cost or price of commodities?
Sorry, come again?
I'm asking, what's driving the price of commodities now?
Yeah, what is actually driving the price of commodity right now is, one, we have prices as a kind of reverse upward because of what we are currently seeing. We are seeing that global oil price has reversed itself, and that has brought about an increase, of course, in price. We bring about an increase in prices of PMS in no due time from now, and prices of commodities that we are seeing right now is becoming high because another factor is the naira. We are seeing that the naira has reversed itself, and we are seeing a depreciation in naira in a couple of days. And what does that mean? It means that importation costs have become relatively high. So what we are seeing is imported inflation. So in the month of July, we might see a reversal, even though we'll see a decline in inflation rate in June, our expectation. So in July, we may see inflation reverse itself upward again, following what we are seeing around us, a lot of uncertainties and imponderables that we are seeing around us in the month of July again, due to the Strait of Hormuz is recently going through a major global risk, and the two, coupled with the 20% fee that Trump is proposing on every cargo that goes through that particular route. So the market has already factored in that, and we are seeing that global oil price has increased. And in few days from now, even though we are seeing that prices are stable, we may see prices reverse back. So we should expect prices to reverse upwards, and you know what that means. Once prices reverse upwards, inflation is going to definitely reverse itself in the month of July. So that's the expectation for the month of July.
All right, thank you so much, Dr. Ifeoma Nwokolo, the Assistant Vice President of Financial Derivatives Company. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for having me, Amy.